Hello, Miami Dolphins fans. How are you today? My name is Michael Leva, and thank you for listening to Sleeper Dolphins here on the Sleeper Dolphins YouTube channel, part of the Sleeper family. You can check out their app and, of course, sleeper.com. And please make sure on Twitter, or X as we call it these days, that you are following us at Sleeper Dolphins there as well. And a bunch of news in the world of the Miami Dolphins we're going to talk about today. Got to start off with some sad news, though. Over the holiday weekend, the Miami Dolphins lost one of their legends in Manny Fernandez, who was 79 years old. He was about to turn 80 on July 3rd. He passed away. He was a big part of that 1972 undefeated team, one of the most underappreciated defensive players, not only in Miami Dolphins history, but maybe in the history of the NFL, as he was a key piece of that legendary 72 team. As I said, he played college ball at Utah and went undrafted before signing with the Miami Dolphins in 1968. He helped the Dolphins go to 3 consecutive Super Bowls. It's obviously 71, they lost to the Cowboys. 72, the perfect season. Then they won again in 73. And, there's a lot of stars on those teams. Obviously, Bob Greasy, Larry Zonka, Jim Kick, Mercury Morris, Nick Bonacani, and many others. But Manny Fernandez was outstanding. And his performance against Washington in Super Bowl VII, where he had 17 tackles and a sack in one game in the Super Bowl. Many people feel he should have been the MVP of that game. Was just outstanding. And, there's so many funny stories about him off the field, as well as he was a bit of a character off the field, especially for that time frame. But that 17 tackle performance in the Super Bowl to this day, there's been a lot of Super Bowls played. I think over 60 of them or so. One of the greatest, maybe the greatest defensive performance in Super Bowl history. It is up there. He won many postseason honors, and he was, he wasn't a true nose tackle, but he could play nose tackle, and just an absolute stud and force in the middle of a defensive line. I got a chance to meet Manny probably 10 to 12 years ago. There's an autograph signing not too far from my house. They had a bunch of the legends of that 72 team from the Dolphins: Paul Warfield, Manny Fernandez, Bill Stanfield, who's also passed away, Norm Van Herter, and some others. And I made the trip, and I got to meet Manny. Just super nice guy, super friendly. Just, sometimes at those types of shows, guys are there for the money, which is nothing wrong with that, but they might not be happy when they're out. He was so nice, man. He's smiling from ear to ear, willing to sign anything. There was a line, but he was willing to chat for a few minutes. So Manny Fernandez, a big part of that no-name defense under Don Shula, part of that famous 1970s team. If you go by the stats, he only had 35 sacks. That's in an era where, guys weren't racking up sacks like they are now. But he will go down as one of the key parts of that era, that team that went to 3 straight Super Bowls, the undefeated team, obviously, and just one of the all-time greats in Miami Dolphins history. And our thoughts and prayers are with him and his family at this time. Rest in peace, Manny Fernandez. Talk about some more current stuff here, as the Miami Dolphins are having OTAs again this week. They had OTAs last week. They're having OTAs again this week. And one of the probably the biggest name on this roster now, with guys like Hale gone, and Waddle gone, and Ramsey gone, and Tua gone, is Achane, who signed obviously the big contract extension a few weeks ago with the Dolphins. And since then, he hasn't said much to the media. Hasn't spoke. With the first round of the OTAs last week, he was there. He did not participate. He's there this week. He also spoke to the media today. He's not participating because he does have an injury that is a lingering injury that kept him out of the end of the 2025 season. I think it was a shoulder injury, why he didn't play like week 17, 18 type thing. It's still lingering, so they're not going to make him do anything here in OTAs. It's not serious by any means, and he'll be fine by training camp and obviously the start of the season. It's nothing serious. But he spoke to the media, and he also went on the Teron Armstead podcast. And he spoke about a lot of topics there, about the extension, the new people in Miami, and just everything. When he was asked about sort of the new regime in Miami, John Eric Sullivan, Jeff Hafley, and everything being new, Achane said They made it clear we're not trading him. Him meaning me. He's one of the players that we're going to build the offensive round. That was set from the get-go. It's a transition. It's different. Everyone's new. You're walking around looking like, who's this? That's kind of funny there. As he spoke in a third person a little bit. Kind of funny. Like he's just walking around still, meeting all the new people, learning who the new people. When he was asked about, not practicing last week during his contract extensions, he goes, you want to go out there and practice with your teammates. I'm real bored because I want to go out and do stuff, but you got to play your role. I'm glad this is over and done with. Meaning, could he have practiced? Yes. But his agent, no. You're not going to step on the field till you get your extension, because if you get hurt, they're not going to give you the extension, and you're not going to get the big, big money that you have coming to you. So he said, look, I wanted to practice. They told me, by they, meaning his people, his agent, his representation, they reminded him this is voluntary. You can show up, but you ain't stepping on the field. So he sort of talked about that. And then when he was asked about Malik Willis and if he has any chemistry with him, because here's the thing, Achane's going to be Miami's leading receiver this year. Miami's wide receiver core, I'm going to say this as nicely as possible, is maybe the worst in the NFL. I know there was one outlet, I can't remember which one. They did a ranking of each position group, which one's the best, which one's the worst, who's got the best wide receivers, who's got the worst, who's got the best tight ends, who's got the worst, who's got the best offensive line, who's got the worst. Miami was ranked as the worst secondary, worst wide receiver group, and I think there was another one. It might have been pass rush, I can't remember. But yeah, so with the wide receivers being so poor, and Achane the past couple of years has caught around, I think one year, 2024, he caught like 64 balls or something. Last year, I know it was either 70 or just over 70, 74, something like that. So he's going to be their leading receiver. So yes, he was asked by Armstead about chemistry with Malik Willis, and Achane said, and I quote, we ain't done one-on-one stuff yet because I've been in rehab. He's learning the plays very fast. You would think he's been there a while with the way he carries himself. So positive comments there about the new quarterback. And again, in Miami, if it wasn't positive, we know with this team's history, players will throw each other under the bus. So positive thoughts there with Willis and what Achane is sort of seen from the sideline at this time. And then there was an interesting article from ESPN regarding Achane. Bill Barnwell of ESPN, he said that he wrote in an article this week that he believes the Miami Dolphins made a mistake in giving Achane an extension. He goes, I don't know if these Miami Dolphins will be able to get the most out of him. Achane could have thrived elsewhere. If the Dolphins could have landed a second-round pick for him, I would have preferred to see them move on and try and land the next Achane in the middle rounds of the draft over the years to come. Now, I know this comment and this part of the article made a lot of Miami Dolphins fans very, very upset. And I have two thoughts on this. Number one, he's not entirely wrong. Meaning, this Miami Dolphins rebuild is not a one-year fix. They're expected to be one of the worst teams in the league this year. They're going to be one of the worst teams in the league this year. So that's almost like I don't want to say wasting one of his years, Achane, but you're kind of wasting one of his years. And with running backs, they only have so many carries. They only have so many hits. There's only so much tread on the tire before it's gone. So there's that aspect of it. So he's not entirely wrong. Here's the thing. I don't know if a team would have parted with a second-round pick for him. You can't assume that they had offers of second-round picks. I think if they had a second-round pick that was like high, I think they would have jumped on it, honestly. I think they would have said yes. I don't know if they ever got that offer. So there's that. And also, whether it's Willis this year, who's coming in with only 6 starts, or if they're really bad this year, next year they're drafting Lenoris Sellers, Dante Moore, Arch Manning, whoever. You can't just give whoever that quarterback is, or Willis, if he's your long-term answer, nothing around him. You got to give them a couple weapons to see what they got. Because if you get either, say, Willis plays so good this year that he's your long-term answer where they're not taking a quarterback in round 1, or he's not good enough and you are taking a quarterback in round 1, whoever it is, you got to give him a chance. Otherwise, you're just setting them up to fail. And then what's the point of all this? So I understand that if they could have got a second-round pick for him, maybe trade him. Yes, especially with guys like, Jalen Wright, who came on at the end of last year and played well. That doesn't mean he'll play well this year, but it gave me some hope. And I think Ollie Gordon, there's a role for him on a team. I don't know if he's an every down or if he's a 3-down back, but there's a role for him. I thought he played well for the most part. But so I understand that part of Bill Barnwell's article there here about Achane. But overall, I think Miami needed to keep him. And again, it's not like they're tied to him forever. This year, he was already under contract. You give him 3 more years or so. I think all the guaranteed money's in year 1 year. He's only here for 3 more years, roughly. And then they can move on from him if they want, with not having to eat a ton of dead money. So you got to give your quarterback, whoever it is, a chance. And you got to surround him with somebody. So trading someone away like him, and it's not like they had to overpay for him some gross amount. And once that extension kicks in next year, the Miami Dolphins are like top 5 team in salary cap space. They have the cap space to pay him because the Hill money's off the books. Most, or at least half of the money for Tua is off the books. The Chubb money's all off the books. The Ramsey money comes off the books. Xavier Howard might be off this year, but if not, he'll be off next year. Like a lot of the dead money is gone. You got to pay somebody. And if you're not paying him, who the hell are you paying? You drafted him in round 3. I know these people didn't draft him, but the organization did. You draft him in round 3. He outperformed where you took him in the draft. He's earned this extension. He does everything right off the field. He does everything right on the field. If you're not going to extend him and reward him, you're sending a message to the rest of the roster. It doesn't matter what you do here. You might not get paid. And that's the wrong message to send. You can't keep everybody. You can't pay everybody. But if you can't keep and pay your best player, and that's not a subjective thing, that's an objective thing, because you can just look at the numbers. That's just setting the wrong message. And if John Eric Sullivan and Jeff Hafley want to come in here and change the culture and they want to fix things, well, then you got to reward the people who deserve to be rewarded. Achane's top of the list. I think the next one should be Aaron Brewer and Jordan Brooks, which there is a report out that Miami still might be interested in trading him. Jordan Brewer would be 3rd after that, in my opinion. I know some people might have that flip-flopped, but I think paying Achane was not a mistake. And, at least for this year, you're going to get the ball a lot. He's going to be their leading receiver. So the question about chemistry with Willis sort of stems from that. Like, you ain't got wide receivers like Waddle and Hill anymore, just run down the field and make plays. You got guys. You got Tutu Atwell. You got Tolbert and some. I mean, they're guys. They're just guys. You're going to run Achane. You're going to throw it to Achane. They're going to run Achane. They're going to throw it to Achane. And until teams can show they can stop it, that's your offense. So, and that's going to give Willis at least the first shot to succeed. And if he doesn't succeed, whoever the next guy is, like I said, Dante Moore, Lenora Sellers, Arch Manning, whoever, Brendan Sorsby, which might be another conversation for another video. You got to give them some weapons so they have a chance to succeed. So I don't agree with Bill Barnwell's sort of statement. I guess, look, if they were offered one of the top 10 picks in round 2, then maybe I would have traded them. And I think John Eric Sullivan would have traded them. But I'm guessing they weren't offered that. I don't know if they were offered anything in round 2. And if they were, it might have been at the end of round 2, which is really like almost like the top of round 3. And then it's just a bad trade. So there's that. So yeah, that's where the Dolphins are right now. Let me talk to you as I try to speak here about that proposed trade. There's a couple proposed trades out there right now from some reputable people. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to happen, but it's worth mentioning. So Bleacher Report, Gary Davenport, who's one of the reporters there, does very good work, says he has them trading Jordan Brooks to Cincinnati, and they would get They would get a 2nd-round pick in 2027 and a 4th in 2028. The Dolphins could get that. They would trade Jordan Brooks tomorrow. The problem is, and this is going to be the problem, this is why you're not going to see this year in the draft, especially the nights of the draft, nights 1, 2, and 3. You saw so many trades. Teams are moving up the board, down board, trading around, trading players for picks. You saw so many trades. Prior to the draft, like stuff like this, you might see somebody get traded in June or July, right before training camp, or maybe late August, right before the right before the right before the season starts. You're not going to see as much of that this year. Why? The 2027 draft, next year's draft in April, in Washington, D.C., on paper, is one of the more iconic drafts in NFL history. You're going to have 4 or 5 quarterbacks going round 1. You got arguably the greatest wide receiver prospect in NFL history, who, if not for the quarterbacks, would go 1 overall. You have so many talented players. I think the University of Texas has projected, I know we're a long way off, projected 5 guys or 4 guys are going to go in the top 15. It is an insane, talented draft. So Cincinnati would love to add Brooks, but a second-round pick in 2027 might be kind of worth what a first-round pick is most years. So they're going to hold on to these picks like gold. Now, the 4th-round pick in 2028, they don't give a crap about. And if they wanted to offer a second-round pick in 2028 and a 4th-round pick in 2028, I'm sure that's probably something they would be happy with. But teams are going to be very reluctant, at least right now, to trade 2027 draft picks. Now, maybe throughout the college season and after this college season, if a lot of the guys who are projected to go high have a bad year, you get some guys that are hurt, and that draft looks less impressive next February or March, then you might see teams start to shuffle picks. But right now, looking at that draft and how it's going to be an iconic draft, one of the all-time great drafts in NFL history, good luck seeing teams trade picks. That's why you didn't see a lot of teams this year trade future picks in the 2027 draft. I think there's only 1 or 2 teams that did. I'd have to go back and look. I think there's one. I mean, and I'm talking even middle rounds or round 5 or 6. Most, I don't care about next year's pick in round 5 or 6. No, everyone was holding on to this stuff like it's gold, because that draft next year, and I'm sure there's someone right now listening. Well, everyone says that, and then they go back to school. Some of these kids can't go back to school. They've already went back to school. Dante Moore of Oregon, he can't go back. He went back this year. He's run out of years. So all these guys who went back, they have to come out next year. That's why next year's draft on paper is so loaded. So I could see them trading Brooks, though. I just think it's very unlikely now. I think if they were going to trade him, it would have been prior to the draft or over draft weekend in late April. I just don't see it happening now because, it'd have to be a blow-away trade offer. That might be it, though. A second rounder in 2027, a 4th in 2020, that probably get done. Cincinnati could use them. They could use help on that side of the ball. They stink on defense. They stink on toast. But I just don't see it happening now. Because here's why. When Miami needed to create cap space to trade Waddle, they moved around money on Achane's deal and the deal of Aaron Brewer, not Brooks. Why? Well, if you're going to trade one, you're going to trade Brooks. And you can't move around the money and then trade them because you're only hurting yourself. They didn't plan to trade Achane. We can move around the money because we know in 6 weeks we're just going to hand him an extension anyways and rip that up, so it doesn't matter. Same thing with Aaron Brewer. They're going to give him an extension. It don't matter if they moved around money to make cap space for a week or 2 so they could trade Waddle and not have to worry about it. The Brooks one, they didn't move around money, meaning they might be open to trading him. But again, I think that probably would have happened already. So I'm not really going to talk about that there. I'll talk about it, but I don't think it's going to happen, so I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. But yeah, that's all for today's show. As always, if you're watching this on the Sleeper Miami YouTube channel, please like and subscribe. Smash that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. This is a slow part of the off season. We're in May, heading into June. You got the OTAs and all that good stuff. Once we get to training camp, I'll really be pumping out more videos each week. But you want to make sure you are subscribed to the Sleeper Miami. You want to make sure you're subscribed to the Sleeper Dolphins YouTube channel and on Twitter at Sleeper Miami. Make sure you are subscribed to both. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. Leave us a comment down below if you can as well. Everyone have a great day, and we'll talk to you again after a while.